So, what do? I would say get labs if possible. Vitamin D, ferritin, magnesium if available. You want to prioritize your protein and eat whole foods first. Not sugar, not carbs, protein and healthy fats. Hey guys, welcome back. This is episode 8. I'm Ijeoma, and we're talking about late night snacking and the nutrient deficiencies that nobody talks about. So, let us talk about cravings. And I'm not talking about your cute little, oh, I could go for a chocolate right now. No. I'm talking about those really hard, really irresistible cravings that we get. I'm talking about those intense ones. And this is like when you think to yourself, why can't I stop thinking about food? Those type of cravings. This is when you're at night, you're looking through your pantry and you're pacing and you're like, I was good all day and then I just spiraled and you can't understand why. So before you blame yourself and you blame your discipline, sometimes cravings are not about willpower. Sometimes they're about deficiencies. Sometimes your body isn't sabotaging you. It's just communicating. Remember, it has a language and we have to learn it. So today we're talking about what cravings actually mean and how vitamin D, iron, and magnesium could actually quietly be playing a role in your fat loss journey. Because this conversation, it's going to change everything. So if you're struggling with cravings, you are not weak, okay? And you definitely aren't broken. You're not addicted to food, because I've heard that a lot too. Cravings are biological, they're natural, they're hormonal, and they are neurological. And especially as mothers, especially as women who've had babies, nutrient depletion is real. Pregnancy actually depletes you. Breastfeeding depletes you. Chronic dieting depletes. And so does stress. So if you spent years under eating, over exercising, chasing fat loss, and you also were a mother, your body might be running on empty. And an empty body will scream. Sometimes it screams in cravings. And here's what's so wild. You might not even be deficient enough to show up dramatically on labs because you go to the doctor and they say, oh, you look normal. But low normal, that can still impact energy, mood, and appetite regulation. So let's break this down. Your body is incredibly intelligent. When it's low on nutrients, it increases hunger signals. Why? Because food is a delivery system for nutrients. But if your diet is inconsistent or restrictive or lacking variety, your brain may just scream, okay, eat, instead of telling you what you're missing. Now, let's just talk about specifics for a second. Let's talk about vitamin D and cravings. Vitamin D acts like a hormone, not just a vitamin. It plays a role in insulin sensitivity, in mood regulation, in dopamine production, inflammation control. Low vitamin D has been linked to quite a few things. It's linked to increased body fat, insulin resistance, low mood, higher inflammation. There's a lot of things that vitamin D does. And here's a connection to cravings. When vitamin D is low, dopamine signaling can be disrupted. So dopamine is kind of like your reward transmitter. When dopamine is low, your brain seeks stimulation. And one of the fastest ways to increase dopamine, sugar and processed foods. That's right. You can increase your dopamine just by eating sugar. So if you constantly feel like you need something sweet, it may not just be emotional. It could be a lot deeper than that. It could be biochemical. And also, vitamin D helps regulate insulin. So if your insulin sensitivity is poor, blood sugar fluctuates more, and blood sugar crashes trigger cravings. So correcting your vitamin D levels can actually help stabilize your mood, your metabolism, and your hunger signals. And that's not hype, that's physiology, okay? Now, here's another thing that connects cravings, iron, and it's iron and fatigue driven cravings, especially for moms. So for women who have really heavy cycles or for women who have had multiple pregnancies, a lot of times low iron or even borderline low can cause things that you're seeing right now, fatigue, brain fog, low motivation, shortness of breath, increased stress on your body. And then when you're feeling exhausted, your body just wants quick energy, right? It just needs more. And quick energy equals what? Carbs and sugar. It's not because you lack discipline, okay? It's because your body's just tired at a cellular level. And iron is essential for oxygen transport. So when oxygen delivery is compromised, your body feels stressed. And stressed bodies crave fast fuel. I've lived it. So if you're saying to yourself constantly, I'm so tired, I just need something, that might not be laziness. That might be low iron. Now, please don't self-diagnose blindly. Please speak to your doctor about anything you want to do, but it is worth testing ferritin, not just hemoglobin, because normal iron and optimal iron are different, and optimal matters for fat loss. If you struggle with nighttime cravings, often magnesium glycinate before bed really helps you improve. It helps improve your sleep quality. I've tried it myself and it's amazing. Your nervous system regulation and stress resilience. So when sleep improves, cravings decrease the next day because your ghrelin and your leptin are actually a little bit normalized. So sometimes the solution isn't stop eating at night. You're doing it wrong. Sometimes it's just let's support our nervous system. Let's give it what it needs because there's a missing piece in the puzzle. Okay, so let's talk about a common myth. One myth that I've heard before is cravings are just emotional eating. Partially true, but not fully true. As you know, there's always two sides to every story, right? So yes, emotions do play a role and they can play a role, but biology sets the stage. You cannot out-discipline a deficiency. You cannot mindset your way out of low iron. You cannot self-control your way through chronic sleep deprivation. And you cannot ignore stress chemistry and expect fat loss to feel easy. Now, I'm not saying supplements fix everything. That's by no means my message to you today. But if you're trying to build a house and the foundation is cracked, more effort will not fix it. Nutrients are foundational. Hormones depend on them. Metabolism depends on them. Your mood throughout the day depends on them. And mood affects behavior, which in turn, of course, affects fat loss. See how it all connects? Everything is connected. So let me share a story, and this actually just happened like 2 days ago. So I went to Planet Fitness to do my daily walk. Again, sometimes I walk outside, sometimes I walk on the treadmill, and I do have a treadmill at home as well. And when I went, I started walking, and I'm an hour into my walk, and I feel amazing. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is different. Because a lot of times before, I would have to force myself to continue walking just to get more steps in. But this time around, my body was actually like, you feel good, you can go. And guess what? I stayed on that treadmill for 2 hours and I felt amazing. I think I want to compare this to what I've heard before. It's called a runner's high. I mean, my body was just going and moving and I felt great. But guess what? I got home and I didn't quite fuel myself the best way. I did have some protein, but it definitely wasn't enough food for someone who's just walked 25,000 steps. And the following day, I ended up getting this crazy craving for carbs. Now, I haven't eaten carbs in quite a bit just because I am doing a carnivore diet just to test things out. And I'm not saying that I will never eat carbs again. I'm just going to slowly ease my way into it. But for some reason, after this 25,000 step walk, I was craving carbs, specifically plantain chips. There's plantain chips that I absolutely love, and I could not say no. So I had about 5 handfuls, and granted, I felt great afterwards, but I also felt very guilty. But the message is that my body probably needed those carbs. And compare that to before my fat loss journey where I would just totally shame myself and feel so guilty and horrible for eating it. And then I would just spiral and continue with my mindset that I'm not doing this right and this is just not working out, and then I would just hop onto a next fad diet. I just told myself this is what my body needs right now and move on the next day with your normal routine and normal meals. And that made me feel less stressed about it. And it's just tying in the fact that sometimes your body just tells you what it needs. And for me, I'm no longer just ignoring those signals. I'm really tapping in and leaning into those messages that my body is sending me because ultimately my body knows better than me. So what do? I would say get labs if possible. Vitamin D, ferritin, magnesium if available. You want to prioritize your protein and eat whole foods first. Not sugar, not carbs. Protein and healthy fats. And consider supplementing appropriately, but under guidance. Add magnesium glycinate at night if approved by a provider, and get sunlight daily for natural vitamin D support. And stop assuming cravings mean you're failing. It doesn't. Remember, supplements are support. They don't replace foundational habits, but when used correctly, they can actually remove friction and make things go a little bit smoother. And fat loss becomes less of a fight. So if you've been fighting your body, maybe it's just time to listen to it instead. Cravings are information. They're signals, not condemnation. You are not weak for being depleted. You're just human. And motherhood, look, it demands a lot, right? So instead of asking, how do I shut this down? Maybe ask yourself, what does my body need to feel safe? What does it need to feel nourished? And when you nourish it, you start realizing what's missing. Your body softens, your cravings calm down, your energy rises, and your mood kind of stabilizes. And fat loss becomes more of a side effect of balance, not punishment or restriction, not going hard. It's just balance. And that, my friend, is a much more sustainable way to live. So thanks for hanging out with me today. And next week, I'll see you guys for the next conversation.